Hello, students. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's class. In today's class, we are going to be discussing about a very vital and important thing. And what we are going to talk about today, without missing words, is our behavior in school. We are going to be talking about our behavior in school today. What is accepted and what is not accepted. I believe that we all know what good behavior is, and we all know what bad behavior is. And because of the kind of school that we run here, we all know what is expected of you. This is why we have school rules, and this is why we have classroom rules, so that we can behave in a proper way and respect each other at all times. So today, basically, most of the work that we'll be doing will be revolving around you doing the right thing, talking, discussing, and writing about what is the accepted behavior in our school and even outside the school by extension. So, this is what we want to do today. Behavior in schools. What makes a good person? What makes a good classmate? So, let's see what we have here. What do you think? Was the fight between the students on Tuesday an example of good behavior? If you think it is, then explain. If you think it is not, then explain. So this is how we are going to introduce this class today. I believe one or two of you have something to say about what happened when there was a PE on Tuesday. There was a scuffle. So talk about it. Was that a good behavior? Was that a bad behavior? And why not? Okay, we'll discuss this for the next 5 minutes. All right, so in our groups now, in a little group, we shall do this discussion as a whole class. In fact, let's have this discussion right now. You can see that we have an angry face here, we have a straight face, and we have a happy face. Now, people's behavior and how people react with each other can make people have this kind of expression. Of course, we know that bad behavior brings about this kind of a face, makes people angry, makes people sad. A behavior that is normal will make people feel okay, but a behavior that is supportive, that is good, that is excellent, that is fantastic, is what makes other people happy and makes people smile and laugh. So, in our group discussions, we shall be talking about, or we shall be discussing or asking each other these four basic questions. How do you want me to treat you as a teacher? Tell me, how do you want me to treat you as your fellow students in your group that you will be in? How are you supposed to treat each other? How do you want me to treat you between students and teacher? Remember to use adverbs to buttress your point, to explain your points properly. Even though we are talking about behavior and all that, we are still in an English lesson, in an English class. So use correct language, use grammar, and use adverbs specifically here to express your opinion. Number two, how do you want to be treated by another student? Say, how do you want to be treated by another student? Three, how do you think other students should be treated? Of course, by you. How do you think other students should be treated? And four, how should we treat one another when there's a conflict? How should we treat each other when there's a conflict? Remember, conflict is if there's a disagreement. Okay, it mustn't be a fight that involves punching or that involves ruffling people up. A conflict is just when two people do not agree, and that leads to a heated argument. Usually conflict leads to fight. So how should we treat one another when there is a conflict? We take 7 minutes to talk in our groups to answer this question. Ask each other and answer this question, because in these questions lies the answer to good behavior if you answer them appropriately and if you answer them truthfully, because we all have in our hearts the knowledge of good and bad. Okay, so let's go. Okay, now the golden rule. What is the golden rule? Can anyone here tell us the golden rule? What is the golden rule? Of course, the golden rule is simple. The golden rule is what makes people polite, what makes people good people, what quells, conflict and what makes people feel better. The golden rule is easy. It is you say please and thank you. When you want to request for something, or when you want to ask a question, or when you want something to be done for you, when you want to be clarified about something, you start your sentence with please. And when what you want to be given or what you want to be done is done, you say thank you. And this golden rule is a rule that quells or quarrel that makes everything right. With this rule, nobody should get angry. So, should we follow the golden rule? This is a question. Should we as people, as students, follow the golden rule? First question. And second question, do you think it is a good rule? Why or why not? As human beings, we have different opinions. So I want to know, should we follow the golden rule? Do you think it is a good rule? If you think it's a good rule, tell us why. If you think it is not a good rule, tell us why. So let's discuss about this also in the next 5 minutes. And also add this. Was the conflict 2 days ago? Keeping this rule in mind when they were talking with each other, the two people having conflict on Tuesday, did they put this rule in their mind? Did they obey this rule when they were talking to each other? This is a question for us to think about. To think about this question deeply, because if they had followed this rule, will what happened will what happened happen? You know? Okay. So let's discuss these questions for another 5 minutes. Okay, so this activity now is our last group activity for today. So, what is the characteristics of good people and good students? What is the characteristics of good students and good people in general? You see, good people have general traits. They have a general features, characteristics that makes them similar. So, what do you see in a person that makes you say this person is good and this person is not? So that's what I want to discuss about. So I'm going to put you in small groups right now, and in your group, you will come up with a list of characteristics of a good student. In your group, you are going to discuss what is the characteristics of a good student. When you see this, that in a person, you will know that person is a good student. So according to you in your groups, I want you to come up with a list of the characteristics of a good student. As many characteristics as you can, as many as possible that you can come up with. I'd like you to write it in a list. Now you have 10 to 15 minutes to create this list. Then after you're done, we're going to bring this list together and we're going to share everything that you have written in one large master list. So that as from today, we are going to mark and check and agree what are the characteristics of good students, and I would expect you to do them because you know these things and you should always do them because they are right. Okay? So we are going to do that in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll create the groups now. Last but not the least, this is a checklist for you to know if you have behaved well or not. This is a little pocket reminder that you can have for yourself. If negative behavior persists in the classroom or persists in the school, especially from you, I might be tempted to start using this little card here to to trace your behavior. This card is easy to use. It just says you are going to assess yourselves, okay? This card is called a behavior checklist. Okay, how are you behaving this week? These faces will tell you if you think you behave well, you mark, of course, the smiley face. If you think you're just okay, you're normal, there's no trouble, and there's nothing. If you're just like okay, you tick on the straight face, and if you think you were really bad this week, you mark the angry or the sad face. So, and as a teacher, I am going to mark on each day here what your behavior is and what you need to work on. This is a weekly check for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we don't need to use this if you do what you're supposed to do and you behave properly. Then we won't have to use this at all. Okay? So it's my sincere wish that this list that we've come up with is going to help us to do the right thing, and we are going to obey these rules and behave well, because there is need for us to behave properly in and outside the school environment.